So here's the situation. Ever since I was 14 years old and I was reading off-road magazines, I have wanted a winch. They're just awesome. They're really cool. And they also mean that you can go to places that, you might be able to pull yourself out of. And so there's places I don't go now that maybe I will. That's at least what I'm telling myself. So when choosing a winch, you really want to start with what vehicle is it for. And so I've got a 2006 Land Cruiser, and it weighs 6,000 pounds. So I set up a requirements, and that was that the winch needed to be under $1,000. I wanted it to have a 12,000 pound rating, because remember that you want something that can pull more than the vehicle weighs, especially if you're stuck in mud. And you also want, and that this rating that you get is based on the first wrap of the winch. And so as you're pulling in line, it can pull less and less. So 12,000 is pretty safe for something like this. It's probably overkill, but why not? I want it to be low weight because I really don't want to put a lot of weight on the front. I still have the AHC system on the Land Cruiser, and so I don't want to put a lot of weight hanging over the front end. It needs to fit inside a bumper. So I've got an aftermarket bumper that I'm going to be putting on as well. The control box need to be movable to fit in that bumper, and I want a synthetic line. I'll get into that in just a second. And then the last part was really important, is that it had to come with a good warranty, just because I'm not going to use this a lot, but I want it to hold up for a long time. It's pretty expensive. One of the things, too, is that I'm usually out without a group when I'm taking the family out or I'm going out. And so I need something that's going to be what I think is going to be pretty reliable. And the warranty is at least a good indication of that. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie, Ghost Ship, but there's this one scene, it opens up and there's this steel cable that just goes and cuts the entire crowd in half. And well, I know it's probably not exactly right, but that's what I worry about with steel cables. And so for me, I just wanted that synthetic rope for safety, right? It's also pretty cool. But really, there is a big safety factor to it, especially when you're someone like me who really doesn't have experience winching. And, I just don't want to kill myself with my winch. I also want to show something here really quick. There's something called the Ingress protection rating. And those are like your IP68 or 69. Every winch here I considered was either an IP68 or 69 or both. And so what you can see here is that the first digit is the 6, meaning it's dust tight, so they're all dust tight. And so it's just a question of whether they're 8 or 9. So the 8 is prolonged immersion in water, and 9 means you could really hit it with the steam cleaner. So for me, the IP68 was going to be fine, but just when you're looking around, you're going to see these numbers floating around. So if you're like me and you go to Harbor Freight and you're on their mailing list, you know that you can get a Badland Apex for pretty good prices. And I've seen them from anywhere from $450. Right now it's $629 today when I'm recording this. And this, I think it's a pretty good winch. People have them, they like them, and they use them. And that's fine. The big problem for me is that the warranty is only 90 days for the electrical and the mechanical. I just really wanted something with a little bit more. Now, I know you can buy the extended warranty. That means you're paying a little bit more money. And so you're starting to creep up closer and closer to the cost of a winch that already comes with that warranty. It's listed as 86 pounds, and I'm not really sure it's that heavy. I think that might just be the shipping weight. But without actually weighing one, that's what I have to go with. It's IP68 and IP69. One of the things that's weird about this, and I see this on the forums, is that it has a 5% duty cycle. But let's talk about what that means. So this is from the Badland Apex, the user manual that you can pull down online. And look, it says 5% duty cycle rating at max loads. That'd be at 12,000 pounds. So are you really going to be pulling at 12,000 pounds most of the time? Probably not. But if you are, then it's only for 5%. Now, it's kind of tempting to rag on the Badland for that, but here's the thing, right? When you go and look inside the Warn winch, which I bought, it says the winch is rated for intermittent duty, and so it can build heat. And so they don't actually give you the duty cycle for the Warn, and I don't think any of the others do. I really looked and I didn't see it. And so it could just be that the Badland Apex is the only one that's being honest. We don't really know what the others can or can't do. So I'm not actually going to hold the 5% against the Badland. I think it's a good winch. And I think if I'd been younger, I really wish I had purchased one when I was in 20 or something with a Jeep. Because that would have been pretty cool. And especially when I was going out with friends, if you got other people with you, it's not too big a deal if your winch doesn't work. It's not great. It sucks, but okay, fine. You got other people to help you out. Okay, and then the next winch I was considering was a SuperWinch SX12. One of the cool things about this one is it has a drum light, which is pretty neat. And I thought it was just kind of a gimmick until I was actually trying to roll in my winch last night, and it was dark. And wow, that drum light would have been pretty nice to kind of see it coiling on there. I was using my phone to look in there and make sure it was going on correctly. One thing I didn't like about the SuperWinch is that the physical plug is on the passenger side, and it may not end up being a big deal, but since the driver is the one usually doing the winching, it does mean you have to cross over your winch line or go around the back of the vehicle. Not ideal, I don't think. Maybe it's not. Maybe that's just in my head. I don't know. The good thing about the SuperWinch, it comes with a 7-year electrical warranty, and the mechanical is a lifetime, and so that's pretty good. Again, it's listed at 80 pounds. I bet it's a little bit lighter than that. But a lot of these winch manufacturers aren't really good about giving that information for some reason. Another one I was considering that also has the same kind of weird thing with the plug on the passenger side is the Smittybilt X2O 12,000. This one is an IP68, which again is fine. The warranty is 5-year electrical, lifetime of mechanical. It gives a probably pretty realistic 67-pound weight, so not bad. People have had some issues with Smittybilts, and it just wasn't, for whatever reason, I just didn't really get into this. And I'll actually, when I go to the one that I picked, I'll say this has the exact same problem that I think almost all of them have. And like I said, we'll get into that. So here's a MileMarker. MileMarker's a pretty well-established company. I think they have a lot of military contracts and such. This is a SEC12. It has an IP68, IP69. The price is competitive. The weight's pretty good, 67 pounds. What got me on this one, though, is that they just don't have much of a warranty on here. It is 1-year electrical and 2-year mechanical. It just wasn't good enough. For about the same price, I could get a lot better warranties. And again, that doesn't mean that the winch will hold up, but it shows the manufacturer has a lot of confidence in it. And that brings us to my second place contender, the one I put in my cart a few times and I just never quite pulled the trigger on, and that is the Ironman USA 4x4 Monster. It has a really cool little winch. There's some really great features on it. One is that it's clockable in increments smaller than 90 degrees, and that's a really big deal because all the other winches here you can clock, but they have to move in 90-degree spins, right? And this one, as you can see from the picture here, where that lever is located would be perfect for the bumper that I'm getting, where it's got the winch is kind of hidden back there. If the lever's all the way on top, it's a little bit hard to get. And if it's all the way in front, it's a little hard to grab as well. But right there, at the position you see here, would be pretty much perfect. It also has a breather, which is pretty cool. So it's supposedly made for being submerged a little bit better than some other winches. I don't know about that. Neat feature. The remote has a little light on it. That's pretty neat. And here's the big thing. This winch right here from this company, I think they would stand behind it if something went wrong and you had to use the warranty, which is 5-year electrical and 5-year mechanical. But the reason I didn't go ahead and get this one, which is one of the cheaper ones of the ones I'm considering, is this. So this is on Amazon. This is your X-Bowl 12-volt synthetic rope winch, 13,000 pound. Well, there's something about this. It's only $330. It only has a 1-year warranty, right? But when you look at the Ironman Monster and the X-Bowl, they're probably made maybe even by the same manufacturer. Now that doesn't mean much, right? They can have different internals, and they clearly have a different lever to engage and disengage, for example. But they're very similar. And that really brought me to this question, like, so if this breaks in, 5 years, 10 years, can you get parts for this? And I'm guessing you probably really can't. And that brings me to my winner, the Warn VR EVO 12S. And look, I chose this for a couple reasons. One of the big ones, though, was that you can still rebuild all mainstream Warn winches. And so to me, what that means is that if I buy this winch, there's a really good chance that as long as I want to own it and keep it serviced, I probably can. I can probably buy parts, I can fix it, even after it exceeds the warranty, which is the electrical 7-year and the mechanical's lifetime, right? So there's a good chance that this winch can keep going and that Warn would actually be able to honor that mechanical lifetime warranty. The other good thing here too is that inside the control box is an all-bright contactor. And as best I can tell, that actually is a good thing. That's actually not just marketing gimmickry. That's actually a useful distinction between this winch and others. the thing that really surprised me is that when I put it on my bathroom scale, and granted, it's not at all calibrated, it saw it as 54 pounds. That's really low. That's the lowest of any of the winches that I'm seeing. It is a bit of a problem because the manufacturers aren't very good at providing that information. It's not really, I guess, a high priority in the off-road community. But okay, fine. So by happy accident, it was really lightweight, even though I wasn't sure that was going to be the case. I actually thought it was going to be more like 72 pounds for whatever reasons. The other thing here is that it was the most expensive of all those that I considered. So it was $842.83. But again, because I do think this really is going to be a lifetime winch and that the company can actually honor that, I think it's a good price. And the IP rating is IP68, which is fine. But here's the good news. It's actually here. Dun, 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 ba, 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 ba. So let's just sort this by price. The Badland was the cheapest. The Warn VR was the most expensive. They're essentially all within $120 of each other, I think, if you buy the Badland warranty. So they're reasonably close in price. The weight? Well, the Warn was actually really nice and low weight. I suspect some of these others do actually weigh a good bit less, like the SuperWinch and the Badland. They probably don't weigh those numbers, but I don't have one on hand, so I can't actually tell you. Warranty. Here on the y-axis is in years. The Badland has the lowest warranty. You can obviously increase that. I think you can increase it to 2 years with Harbor Freight. The Ironman Monster that I considered was 5 years. The SuperWinch and the Warn have identical warranties, so 7-year electrical and lifetime mechanical. And so that's pretty good. Again, the warranty really sold it for me, and then the idea that I could get parts for it. So I do have two tiny little complaints here. One is that the grip just feels wrong. I don't know who their hand model was, but like it just doesn't quite sit right. This finger just feels like it has nothing else to do, which is fine. I'm not planning to use this every day, so that's acceptable. The other thing is that it takes AAA batteries, which is great because I can keep those around. However, it looks like you have to unscrew it to get into there. So yeah, the manual wasn't really clear how you would go and change the batteries. So okay, fine, it unscrews and there's 3 AAA batteries in here, but if you have to change the batteries, this really is going to be a pain. And is on the trail. So anyway, but those are kind of minor complaints. Nothing else that I saw was going to be really any better. And at least I can do this on the trail if I had to. And so finally, realizing the dreams of 14-year-old me, I have a Warn winch sitting on my Land Cruiser. And I'm really excited about this, honestly. And it's fantastic. I can't wait to take it out. Let me know in the comments what you choose, and thanks for watching.